Hey, and what is going on, everybody? It is Zero here, back with some more Diablo action. Today we're talking about LoN, the Garg version of LoN in particular, and how badass it is. So to illustrate just how badass it is, the footage you're going to see is me doing a 77 with absolutely piss poor performance. I was playing really sloppy. Like really sloppy. I was watching a video on my other monitor and I just wasn't paying attention really to what I was doing. So the example in this video is a very good example of how you should not play this build. I don't keep my Big Bad Voodoo up nearly enough. I'm not keeping up my 10 stacks of Soul Harvest. I am not keeping up my Tagok. I die in it. It's an extremely good example of how strong the build is because I'm doing a 77. I'm playing it extremely poor. I'm not kiting the mobs nearly as well as I should be. And it's just, this is not the way that you should play it. You should focus on kiting large groups together and moving from pack of elites to pack of elites with all the trash combined. Keeping your Tagok up as high as you can at all times, keeping up 10 stacks of Soul Harvest, and keeping your Big Bad Voodoo on your ass at all times. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is a very good example of playing this build poorly. Okay, so that being said, let's get into it. Skills, guys. Okay, we're going with Fire Bats, Plague Bats. You could use other runes in this slot. But you'll notice on the leaderboards that everybody's running Plague Bats, and we're doing that for a reason. It's the best one to run. It just gives you, it's the most versatile of them all. You can start casting it or channeling it, very quickly, as opposed to like say Cloud of Bats, which has a much slower motion to get moving. This is much better. Okay, Tornadoes. We need this for grouping up the mobs. You always want your mobs grouped up really tight and really close to you with this build. Okay, guys. Gargantuan Humongoid is going to be doing most of your damage. This is the bread and butter of the build. These guys hit like an absolute truck. It's ridiculous. Soul Harvest with Languish. This is going to give you an extreme amount of intelligence because of what we have in the cube. We're going to be able to stack up to 10 times here. And that's huge, right? You get 3% intelligence for 30 seconds for each affected enemy. This effect stacks up to 5 times, right? Increase armor by 10% per harvested enemy and reduce their movement by 80%. So this is huge, right? Puts a debuff on the enemy. It'll proc our Bane of the Trapped. Gives us a huge amount more damage, huge amount more toughness. This is a essential skill for this build. Big Bad Voodoo with Rain Dance. We are using Rain Dance because we must keep our mana above 90 to 95% at all times, and that is going to help us just tank the shit out of everything. It's amazing. Spirit Walk Severance. We're using Severance now instead of Jaunt, everybody. In case you haven't gotten the memo, it's the new best rune for Spirit Walk. This gives you 100% increased movement speed while in the Spirit Realm, and it allows you to get from pack to pack very easily, okay? Passives, we're using Midnight Feast. This is going to give our Garg 50% more damage. Using Grave Injustice, this is going to give us a whack more cooldown. It's going to give us maximum life and mana. It's, you know how Grave Injustice work. It's a pretty essential skill for a lot of builds, okay? Swampland Attunement is going to give us a whack more toughness. It is essential for doing high-end grifts. Confidence Ritual, deal 25% additional damage to enemies within 20 yards. Big time need this, man. That's 25% more damage. It's huge. Okay, lastly, on our Hellfire Amulet, we are running with Spirit Vessel. You want that, obviously. We're doing high-end grifts. There are going to be times when you're going to get killed, man, and this thing's going to save you. It's going to save your ass. Obviously, with your Hellfire Amulet, you want the absolute best roll possible. Don't rack your brain trying to get one this good, though, because obviously that's easier said than done. I've got an intelligence, crit damage, crit chance roll on there, and then you want to augment it with more intelligence. You want to augment every single piece of your gear here, guys, okay? Okay, so let's get into the rest of the gear. Obviously, we're running LoN, so we are using the Legacy of Nightmares set, in case you don't know what that is. This is basically the new best ring set in the game, okay? Litany of the Undaunted, Intelligence, crit chance, crit damage, or you can go trifecta if you can manage it. Attack speed is very good in this build. Okay, and you're going to augment that bad boy with more intelligence. First gem we're using is Bane of the Stricken. Each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by 1.52% at rank 72. Gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. That's huge. Just huge damage out of this gem. It's not even funny, okay? Other ring, the Wailing Host. This one is not very good. You see it's not ancient. And I'm doing 77s. This is my only piece of gear that isn't ancient. I just have been having very bad luck with this ring. So obviously you're going to go with the kind of same roll that you're going with on the other ring. Trifecta if possible. Otherwise, intelligence, crit chance, crit damage, I would say is the better bet to go for. And then you're going to augment it. Obviously you have to wait for that to be an ancient. You cannot augment items that are not ancient. We've got a Tagok in there. Gain 0.5% increased damage for 3 seconds after spending primary resource. This effect stacks up to 90 times at rank 70. So that's huge. 0.5 times 90. Gigantic. And gain 0.5 increased armor for every stack. So with this at full, you're going to have a huge damage increase and you're going to have a huge toughness increase. It's amazing. Okay. The last gem, like we mentioned earlier, is the Bane of the Trapped. This is another big damage increase, guys. Everything's going to be slowed down at all times, just from the gem itself, because you're going to be very close to all the enemies that you're going for. Within 15 yards, absolutely. So there's just an amazing gem. Okay, we're using a Star Metal Kukri here, guys. Again, everything needs to be ancient in this build, guys, or it's just not going to work out for you. So don't be going in with like 3 pieces of ancient gear expecting to do like 70s and stuff like that. It's not going to happen. Okay, you need as many. Like I have 1 piece of gear that isn't ancient. You see on the rings here. Well, this is your only set bonus. Every ancient item you have equipped increases your damage dealt by 100% and reduces your damage taken by 4%. So it's a huge deal to have everything ancient. And like I said, I'm still missing one. So Star Metal Kukri, guys, you're going to go with a damage percent roll here, intelligence, and the crit damage. You could even go with damage percent, attack speed, crit damage, if by some possibility you were able to get that. I don't even think you can run that. I know you can on a Dagger of Darts. I don't know if I've ever seen a Star Metal with that. But then you're going to augment that as well, and you're going to throw in a Emerald, obviously. Boots, there are another option for this. You could go Ice Climbers, guys, and protect yourself from frozen, but running through enemies is, trust me, going to be a far more valuable asset to you. You're going to go Intelligence, Vitality, All Res, Armor, augmented with more Intelligence, and being able to run through enemies is going to be a really big deal with this, guys. You're going to be grouping enemies up as much as possible in this build, and sometimes you're going to get overwhelmed, even though you're tanky as hell. We're talking about high-end griffs, right? 75 to 80, and further on than that. At the top right now is 89 solo. So there are times where you will be overwhelmed, and you'll need to get out, and you'll need to run through enemies in order to do that. And you might not have your Spirit Walk up. So just being able to run through them without Spirit Walk is a huge deal. Mojo, we're using Henry's Perquisition. This is a good damage mitigator for the first attack against enemies. It kind of loses its charm when you're fighting the Rift Guardian, because obviously the first time it hits you, it's the only time it's going to proc, and then it's going to be doing full damage to you at all times. But overall, there are a lot of large enemies in Rifts that on high-end Griffs can really one-shot you, like, easily, and this can help protect you from that a lot. So we're going Intelligence, Vitality, Crit Chance, Gargantuan Damage, and augment it with more Intelligence, guys. I should mention that, and I should have mentioned it before, that an alternate roll for these, and probably even better than a standard trifecta, is area damage, crit damage, crit chance for both your rings. But that's like really hard to get, and which is why I almost forgot to say it. But area damage is a big part of this build. If you can get it, it'll help you a lot. Gloves, guys, we're going with Tasker and Theo. Ideally, you want a trifecta glove here. Attack speed, crit chance, crit damage, invite. That's easier said than done. Obviously, I have yet to be able to get one. Like, I have reforged so many Tasker and Theos, it's not even funny. And I just can't do it. And then you're going to augment it, obviously. The reason I haven't augmented it is because I do not have a trifecta glove yet. So for the chest piece, guys, we're going to go with the Aquala Curious. This is why we are running Big Bad Voodoo with Slam Dance. We need to keep our mana very high. I don't have the best roll on here, but we got Intelligence, Armor, and Garg damage. Ideally, you would want Invite Garg damage, and you want, if possible, I don't know how everybody keeps getting these things, because I've been through so many ancient Aquala Curiouses, and I haven't found one with a 90% roll on the special there. While above 90 to 95% primary resource, all damage taken is reduced by 50%. That's like huge damage mitigation. So if you can get 90, you're in the money zone. Belt, guys, Belt of Transcendence, Invite, All-Res Armor, augment it with more intelligence. These are where we're going to get our fetishes, and these are the fetishes that are going to proc our Star Metal Kukri and lower the cooldown on everything. So, very big deal, right? This is going to lower the cooldown on Big Bad Voodoo, and you will have it up all the time. 100% uptime. Coils of the First Spider on your bracers, guys. Try and go for a 20% cold skills on there. I know that's easier said than done. Invite, crit chance, life per hit. It's not great. Obviously, you can get better rolls than this, but this is the best one I've been able to find. And you're going to augment that with more intelligence. And then last two pieces of gears. Let's see here. We got the Mantle of Channeling, which is another huge part of the build, and it's an absolute must. Don't try and run this with another pair of shoulders if you're running the Garg version of this build, okay? Do not do it. Intelligence, Vitality, Area Damage, Gargantuan Damage, augmented with more Int, and the special reads while channeling Whirlwind, Fire Bat, Strafe, Tempest Rush, Fire Bats, Arcane Torrent, Disintegrate, Ray of Frost. You deal 24% increased damage and take 25% reduced damage. So you get another 25% increase in damage. You get another 25% decrease in damage. Huge. And you're going to be channeling Fire Bats all the time when you're engaged. All the time. That's all you're going to be doing. You're going to get into the middle of a group. You're going to drop down your Slam Dance. You're going to Soul Harvest. You're going to Pronado. And you're just going to stand there channeling. And that's all you're going to do. You're going to let the Gargs do the work. And that's it. So that's going to be active all the time. And lastly, you need a Mask of Jerem for more pet damage, guys. Invite, crit chance, augment with more intelligence, throw in a vitality gem, and you're good to go. And that's the main bit of gear there, guys. Let's run over to the cube real quick. In the cube, guys, we have the Sacred Harvester. Soul Harvest now stacks up to 10 times. You can easily run this and put the Star Metal Kukri in the cube if your Sacred Harvester rolls better than your Star Metal. Mine did not. So that's that. We're going to be using Lakumba's Ornament. Reduce all damage taken by 6% for each stack of Soul Harvest you have. So we can stack up to 10 times, guys. Right? So that's a lot more damage reduction. Like I said, this is a very tanky build. Very tanky. And lastly, we're running the Short Man's Finger. This is what's going to give us the 3 Gargs, which hit ridiculously hard, just unbelievably hard. They totally reworked it from last time around, and now they are so strong it's not even funny. So guys, like I said, you really need to focus on how you're playing this build. Even with not perfect gear, like perfect rolls, you're going to be able to do 70s with this if you play it right. If you group up the mobs well, you keep your Tagox up, you keep your Soul Harvest up, and you keep your Slam Dance down all the time. You're going to be able to do really well, especially if you have that area damage. If you can get area damage, like a trifecta area damage roll on your rings, if you can get area damage, crit chance, crit damage on your rings, and you have the area damage on your shoulders, it's going to be ridiculous. When that area damage procs, the numbers that you're going to see for area damage is ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. Fortunately, I haven't been lucky enough to be able to get rolls like that on my rings, but maybe you guys will be lucky enough. So there you have it, guys. That is the Legacy of Nightmares Garg build. It is super strong. I've been working really hard on getting it going. I'm pretty happy to be in the top 400 right now, and that's a run that you're going to see. And like I said, I played it very poorly, but I thought it was a good example to show, because even playing the build poorly and being able to do that well and go into the top 400 on the leaderboards, that I think shows how strong the build really is. So let me know what you think, guys. Have you got this build going? Yes or no? Do you enjoy it? Do you think it's too powerful? Do you think it totally diminishes the importance of other sets for the Witch Doctor? Because I do. Alright. Like, comment, subscribe. We will be covering more LON as soon as I find myself an Ancient Witching Hour, guys. We will cover LON Dagger of Darts. We'll cover some other LON variants as well. I just need to make sure that I get the ancient items first. Okay, guys, so thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.